Bettor Sports Betting, your home for picks, props, and futures to help you make your plays this evening. Bettor Sports Betting wants to know what picks you're playing tonight. Tell us in the live chat on YouTube. This is Bettor Sports Betting.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Bettor Sports Betting Show. I'm Howard Bender. Jon Impemba here by my side. Oh, I always go the wrong way. Jon Impemba right over here for me. What's going on? Dan Servadidio out today. Lots to talk about here. It's NFL Week 4. We gave you some leans on Wednesday's show. Now we've got some bets and some picks and some props and all sorts of stuff going on like that. But Jon, we've got news already here in the in the sports world, in the NFL world, and it all has to revolve around gambling. And let's talk about it here. New NFL policy resulting in the return of Jameson Williams a little early. Modified gambling policies, as you see right here. If you get caught betting on an NFL game, any game, it's a 1-year ban. Any game with a on your own team, it's a 2-year ban. At any kind of game fixing, point shaving, anything like that, full banishment for life. Betting on NFL sports from the workplace. This is where it was with Jameson Williams. Apparently he did not bet on an NFL game. He bet on another game, and it was still on the team's property. So if you do that from the team's area, first violation, a 2-game suspension without pay. Second violation, 6-game suspension without pay. Third violation, suspension without pay for at least 1 year. So this is where they're setting it up right now for the NFL players. And again, because of this, they're bringing Jameson Williams back a week early from what his original suspension was. Jon, talk to me here. This is a big deal. Not just because Jameson Williams is coming back and, some fantasy owners have him stashed on the team.
Right.
But it obviously, this is really what it comes down to with policies, because we've seen stuff that's been really harsh. Calvin Ridley had his ban. And so now here moving forward, how do you feel about how the NFL's handling things?
Listen, obviously we know that betting on your sport where you could have influence, I think obviously is a no-go and deserves a harsh punishment. I understand why you would also put guidelines on things you are and aren't allowed to do at your place of business as well. So if you're not allowed to gamble at work, like most places, I would imagine across the country is the case, then you can't gamble on the team premises, practice facilities. Hopefully players are now smart enough to, go home and do it. Wait the 5 minutes till they get a guy, or have a guy that can do it for you. One of the two, so you're not stuck there if you're that eager to get a bet in play. But yeah, just avoid betting on your own team. Avoid betting in the NFL in general. You would think it wouldn't be too difficult for that to do now that these very clear, very set policies are in place. But I'm sure we'll still get some players that figure out a way to mess it up.
We're definitely going to get some players who are going to mess things up. It's just I'm sorry, forgive me, but the world is filled with rank stupidity all over the place. So, listen, I think that it's something that you need. The whole thing with MLB and Pete Rose and banned for life. And, it's what's going on here right now. So, I think with the way that gambling is obviously becoming much more prevalent, I think we just had another state ratify it. I believe it was Kentucky.
Yeah.
So they all of a sudden that kicked in over there. With it being as prevalent as it is, and obviously the money that's attached to it, we're going to see, you're going to have to do something against players like as harsh as possible. I got to be honest with you. I'm not even sure that these policies, I don't want to sound like a stick in the mud, but I don't necessarily know if these policies are even harsh enough. You bet on your own team, a 2-year ban. All right. Listen, in football, that really does put you behind the 8 ball as far as like a career, but then you might as well just say a career ban. That's it. Leave it at that, because what the dude's going to be out of football for 2 years. He's going to come back. You think he's completely changed his ways? No, I don't think so at all.
No, I agree. And yeah, 2 years out of the game feels like a little bit of a death sentence, depending on the age of the player, of course. And, I guess the level of quality of play. I mean, we've seen plenty of guys get hurt year after year and come back and be productive, but 2 full years out of the league feels like a long adjustment. We've seen that obviously with Deshaun Watson and his struggles at the quarterback position. Calvin Ridley got off to a good start, sluggish a little bit the last couple of weeks here. So you could be right. Some guys could make it just not worth for them to care too much about these policies here, but I don't know. Betting on the game itself, I would probably agree with you. Should probably just be a one strike and you're out situation. But the betting on non-NFL sports from the workplace violations, yeah, I guess I don't know. I don't really understand why.
Well, you don't see any harm in it. You're like, yeah, if I'm sitting,
yeah,
exactly.
If it's not on an NFL game, why do they care if you're betting on an NBA game from the locker room? Like, I don't see the influence. I don't see the issue. But again, that's their workplace policy. That's what it is. So fine, avoid doing that. Betting on NFL games, sure. I would say why even give them 1 year, 2 years? Just one strike and you're out. Don't do it. Don't do it. Right?
Don't. It's a very simple fact. Don't do it.
Just don't do it.
I mean, I think the fact that you can't gamble on other games. I mean, we've seen, professional athletes are friends with each other. They know each other. And you know what? If somebody from the Detroit Pistons walks into the Lions locker room and he's like, oh, yeah, I'm probably not going to play this week because, I got like a tight hamstring or something like that. I mean, it's definite insider information. And if the person does it, then, all of a sudden it kind of changes that dynamic. So again, I get it. I get both sides of the argument that there is no harm in it if it's not your own sport. But for the same token, I understand it's a gateway issue and, stuff like that, happens. So I'm perfectly fine with that. I'll tell you what, here's my question, John. If you're suspended for 2 years for gambling, are you not allowed to go play in the XFL? Are you not allowed to go play in the USFL? Can those organizations give you a contract while you're serving a 2-year suspension from the NFL?
I would have to assume there's some conflict of interest or there's some sort of non-compete in a lot of these NFL contracts. But yeah, I mean, if that's the case, if you're suspended for 2 years, then maybe you can go and play. The XFL and the USFL did just announce that they're going to be merging, Howard. So they're looking to combine and create one big spring ball league. So,
well, I mean, there you go. I mean, that's right there. All of a sudden that could end up serving as sort of like a way station for guys who are coming out of college who might not be ready for the NFL and they get cut and then whatever, and they play in the USFL/XFL or whatever. But that's why, can a guy go down? Can he be demoted basically? Like, is it affiliated enough with the NFL that they wouldn't have something like that? So
yeah, it's possible. And listen, to your point on like the athletes, that goes on anyways, right? Like, hey, Aaron Jones, I'm gonna be on a snap count today. I'm gonna go tell my buddy, about it. Maybe take the under on my yards or something like that. I bet those text messages go out anyways across across leagues where you're allowed to bet on certain sports. It's illegal, obviously. You would assume it's illegal, but it wouldn't shock me if that sort of information is often passed around. Why do you think there's always those heavy line bets early on in the weeks before news actually breaks, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, Deshaun Watson's not going to play this week, but Vegas knew 4 days ago, sort of thing.
All right. Well, I don't really have many other thoughts on the whole situation. You?
Not really. No. Good to see Jameis Williams coming back. Hopefully he stays healthy. I have him on a handful of rosters of mine, expecting him to come back, after the 6 weeks. So I'll take it after the 4 weeks for sure.
There you go. I like Mulroyd's comment right there. Calvin Ridley got a raw deal then. Yeah, you know what?
Well, he bet on his own team, though. So he would have gotten the suspension no matter what.
Did he bet on his own team? I thought he bet on another team.
No, I thought he bet on his own team.
I'll have to get something on that. But if he bet on his own team, then yeah, then done. I thought he bet on another.
Maybe
to win. He bet on his team to win.
Yeah. So did Pete Rose. Right?
Yeah, right? So there you go. Well, Calvin Ridley, you can go across the pond here for NFL Week 4 and gamble to your heart's content, I guess.
Right? Yeah, for sure.
If you really want to. I don't know. Is that considered, if it's one of those if I'm not in the same zip code, is it cheating? So if Calvin Ridley's like hanging out at at a pub in London.
It's a little deja vu here because if you remember, Calvin Ridley didn't travel with Atlanta to London, and that set off everything that went on with Calvin Ridley. He ended up not playing the rest of the season. It could due to the what we thought was the mental health stuff, and then comes out the gambling and all this other thing. So, the last time we were supposed to see Calvin Ridley play in London, it didn't happen.
It did not. Well, fingers crossed that it not only happens this week, but it's also a fantastic outcome, for all sorts of reasons.
For sure.
I don't know. Let's talk NFL Week 4. Let's talk bets. Let's talk what we got going on coming up. I mean, this is some great stuff that we've got here. Lots of action here across the board. We'll start off with some game bets as we usually do. John, do you have a game pick that you're kind of leaning on this week?
Yeah, listen, I like the Houston Texans +3 at home here. I don't think the Steelers have really shown me much this season to warrant them being favorites. I know their defense is pretty good, but Houston's pass defense has looked pretty good as well. I'm actually been impressed with the passing offense for Houston. CJ Stroud looks like the real deal. Kenny Pickett doesn't look like the real deal yet, and teams are struggling to throw against Houston. Pittsburgh's going to have to control the ball on the ground with their running game because Houston is susceptible on the ground here. But I'll take the 3 points with Houston here at home. This could be a 1-point game, low scoring. If I had taken over/under, I might go under. But I think +3 for Texans is what I'm going this week.
This was a game I kind of eyeballed a little bit. I actually just there's a video posted on my my Twitter page, X page, whatever the hell you want to call it, at RotoBuzzGuy, talking about the fact that we did see some growth out of Kenny Pickett in last week, and I didn't want to blame Matt Canada like every other Steelers fan is just like, oh my God, Matt Canada is the worst. When you have to look at like the multi-year transitions that he's made and with what he's been dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I look at that aspect of it. So I actually do like Kenny Pickett. I'm curious to see if there is a little bit more of a test because of the struggles of Najee Harris. I'm curious to see if there is a stronger attempt to pass against Houston. Taking away that theory, you and I talked about it on the Fantasy Alarm DFS NFL podcast, where we talked about the possibility that, teams are only running against Houston, not passing against them because they can run so much, but because it's actually a strong pass defense, according to you. So, All right. Okay. I'm going to go with, here we go. I'm going to Buffalo, Miami. Now this was actually Bills minus, I think it was -3 when I first took a look at it. Bills -2.5 here. I love it. I do. I think that, I don't want to sell short the Buffalo defense, what they've been doing. I know the offense hasn't been, exactly lighting it up. We did see some good stuff from them. Josh Allen to Stephon Diggs is rock solid. I think we're going to see a lot of overreaction to Miami and putting up 70 points on Denver. It's a much different situation going up to Buffalo. And when you think about it, you're like, wow, Miami just put up 70 points. Right, they've scored a ridiculous amount of, and we love their ground game, and Devin Achane is the next big thing, and all of these things. Like, there's a reason Buffalo is favored in this game, and it's not just because they're the home team. So Bills -2.5 for me.
Yeah, I like it. Again, I've talked about this doing the DFS quarterback coach. I felt like maybe Miami's offense is going to be a little bit overhyped. You saw them put up a bunch of points and a bunch of yards against the Chargers. Very bad defense. A bunch of points and a bunch of yards against the Broncos last week. Bad defense. They were okay against New England. They weren't great. Tua wasn't great against New England here. Good defense. So Buffalo, good defense. I want to see some of their secondary get healthy. Jordan Poyer got ruled out. We're not sure on Tre'Davious White yet. But all in all, I think this is the divisional matchup here. I would lean the home team. And, maybe the under. 53.5 is a lot of points. And if that offense struggles against a tougher defense, people might be a little surprised to see the score this weekend.
Smokey the Cat hanging out in the chat room there, shooting me in the foot with my, hey, maybe they try to pass it more. George Pickens over under on receptions 3.5. Womp, womp.
Yeah, the problem is he's not he might be now, but he hasn't generally been a big volume catch guy. He's more of a downfield shot maker. But if they could turn him into a better possession receiver, he is their clear number one. You and I talked, Howard, again. No Deontay Johnson. Allen Robinson's on the injury report this week. They might only have Pickens really to throw the football to. But Calvin Austin's been getting a ton of targets. So, the easier throws for Pickett has been to Austin and Freiermuth, and not necessarily the downfield plays here for George Pickens. So,
well, I need 4 for 70, and then the touchdown's irrelevant to me with George Pickens. I just need 4 catches, and I need more than 61.5 receiving yards. How about that?
Sure.
How about that? I'll just round it up for everybody. All right, well, you got another one? Keep going, baby.
Yeah, Denver -3. Again, they're on the road against Chicago, but I believe in Denver more than I do in Chicago. So, again, this feels like an overreaction. If Denver didn't just give up 70, but we're still 0-4, wouldn't the spread be higher? Right? Doesn't it feel like this would more be like a 6-point game? Because Chicago has shown absolutely nothing on both sides of the football. At least Denver's offense has been scoring points as well. Maybe people are expecting Chicago's offense to be able to do something this week, but I don't see that being the case. I'm actually shocked Denver's defensive coordinator still has a job this week, truthfully, but I would be imagining they're going to be changing some of the play calling, but they don't have to worry about a Tyreek Hill or Devin Achane or Raheem Mostert this week. What do they have? They have to worry about Fields, right? Just one player, maybe. So I think Denver's going to go out here. It's like 27-10. Something like that, and take this one home.
I will. For a superstition side, I'm just not going to bet it because I've bet Denver twice now this year, and I've lost both. And I am going to root for them. I will use Russell Wilson in DFS, but I'm just
that Washington loss was rough. I'll say that much.
I don't want to talk about it. I do want to talk about the Carolina Panthers taking on the Minnesota Vikings. Listen. I don't like the fact that Bryce Young is definitely back, right? Mm-hmm. I kind of wanted to see Andy Dalton in another one because, I think that Andy Dalton just, calm, cool, just knows what he has to do when he goes out there. Bryce Young is still a learning curve. He's so small. But Minnesota's defense is terrible, like just bad. It really is bad. The reason that their offense is so potent that they have to, that they score 30, 35 points a game is because their defense is giving up 40 a game. All right. And I know that they're going to be desperate, but I don't want to undersell Carolina's defense here. I think they at least keep it close to give me that with the 4 points. So Panthers +4 for me, John.
Yeah, I can see it, Howard. I'm going to push back on you a little bit. I think if this one gets into a race that Carolina doesn't have the horses. The offense just for Minnesota has too many big playmakers where if Minnesota goes up 10 points, I don't know if Carolina's offense with Bryce Young can come back from that. So that's my only worry about Carolina here. I just don't think that offense is good enough versus the explosive playmakers that Minnesota has.
I think Minnesota tries to pass too much early. We get some 3-and-outs. Maybe we get a defensive touchdown here. You can't sell Carolina's defense short. I know you can run on them, and maybe we see a lot of Madison, the arrival of Cam Akers, but I still think that if Carolina, with the way their linebackers are, there's great speed. They can get out into coverage. They can pinch up and they can stuff the run. So I think that's going to be a nice little tipping point for me there. But I'll just be on this side with the points here. Over in the Minnesota Vikings Carolina game. The over in
Minnesota plays in a lot of overs. So
what's that?
I said Minnesota plays in a lot of overs.
Minnesota does play in a lot of overs. What is it? 46.5. Yeah. I don't mind. I don't mind doing that. I really don't. We got that Adam Thielen revenge game narrative. We're working on that.
Yeah, listen, if Bryce Young can
feed him the
play
ball
better, then maybe, sure. But again, you and I looked at it, right? He attempted 38 and like 33 pass attempts, and he hasn't cracked 190 passing yards yet. So, if a team is going to rely on the running game like they do, generally that means lower scoring, slower pace, so probably fewer points. If this hits the over, I think you'd be in trouble with Carolina. I think that'd be because Minnesota's putting up 30 here.
Just destroying them. I mean, listen, could this end up like a 31-20 game? Yeah, I think that it could be. We saw that happen last night, that late useless touchdown for Green Bay.
Yeah, it's true. 100% true.
Right. By the way, I had the Lions laying the points, and I had the over on that game as well.
I like it.
Oh, and a David Montgomery anytime touchdown. Did he get that one?
Oh yeah.
I
had that. If you watched the Thursday Night Football preview show I did with Britt Flynn, we had a question on who would be your captain for showdown tonight. I said I have a lot of David Montgomery tonight. So
there you go. There you go.
Let's hope y'all
Andrew Cooper said that on the Fantasy Alarm Show too. So yeah,
he must have been listening after the fact.
All right. You got another game at all? Or
I got one more for you. I'm going Baltimore +1 here. I like Baltimore before the Deshaun Watson news has come out, and the Deshaun Watson news really hasn't officially ruled him out, but he is now questionable. He's been limited at practice all week with the shoulder. Again, Cleveland looked good last week against a very bad Tennessee team. I told you Cleveland looked good against a bad Tennessee team, but I still don't think Deshaun Watson is where he should be quite yet. So I think Baltimore's defense could cause some problems for him here. And while I do think that Cleveland's defense is 100% legit, I think Baltimore can get it done. I'd go the under probably here as well in a close game. And maybe Tucker wins it with a field goal here.
Well, that's the thing. When you've got the Ravens and they're getting points, if it's like 3 points, 2 points, and in this case 1, because it was 3 just, before the Deshaun Watson stuff happened. But, if I'm getting points in a close game, and I'm going to bet on Justin Tucker every time.
Yep.
So
guy has 65-yard range. So, let's roll.
Seriously. One more that I'm looking at here. I like the Raiders plus the 5.5. Now, standard policy for me is when the Chargers are favored at home by 6.5 or more, then I automatically take the points and the underdog because the Chargers never cover, ever. I don't even have the numbers in front of me. That's one of those, everybody knows it. You've always got that one team that you bet on. You just learn the hard way that's just not where you want to bet. So when I look at that with the Chargers, even though it's only 5.5 and it's not 6.5 here, I kind of think that that the Raiders are at least going to keep it close. The Chargers defense is that bad. That's the thing.
I was saying, how bad are the Chargers is the Chargers defense if they're not covering a spread against Brian Hoyer or Aiden O'Connell, right? Like, what are we looking at with the Chargers that ends up being the case? Listen, I get it. And we actually got news. We just got news on this game too here, Howard. Austin Eckler is doubtful to play. So though he's been limited at practice this week, he has just officially been listed as doubtful or considered doubtful for this game.
Oh, yeah. They're just trying to goad everybody into that Josh Kelly play all over again.
Probably.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see what Josh Kelly's rushing yard prop is going to be when this gets decided, because whatever it is, I'm on the under.
Yeah, 65.5. I bet.
Oh, goodness gracious. I'll take the under on 65.5 for him. All right. Before we go on and we start talking more player props, let's talk about the where you guys should be watching your games, your primetime games, and that's the BettorCast app. BettorCast .app. You can hit that QR code right there at the bottom and just sign up. It's all free. Beautiful, right? You go in there. We're all hanging out in the chat. Me, Coop, Britt Flynn, John, the whole gang is hanging out in there. And what you do is when you go in there, you're answering questions. We'll do pregame questions. There's like 10 pregame questions, and you get points based on that by the end of it. And then during the game, there's different player prop questions, different in-game questions. Will this team score next? How many yards will this team get before, on this series? All sorts of stuff like that. You answer the questions right, you score points. You take points, you win, and you end up getting tickets. And you take those tickets and you redeem them for autographed sports memorabilia. We got a bunch of stuff that we're just giving away. So again, it's all free. Zap the QR code. Go to whatever your app store is that you have to do. Bettercast is where you want to be. Again, primetime games. We're going to be expanding to daily stuff, but for right now, for the NFL, it's the Thursday night football, Sunday night football, Monday night football. It's been an absolute blast. So jump in on that. Just wanted to let everybody know. And of course, you get me, a miserable Jets fan, watching the Kansas City Chiefs pummel us while sitting there and listening to everybody being like, I'm so sorry, Howard. I'm so sorry. Your poor team. So Bettercast app. Get some John player props. Let's do it. Where are we go? You know what? I'm going first.
Okay.
I'm going first because he's my boy, Courtland Sutton. I don't know how many different ways I could say it to you. I don't know how many different ways I can tell you about the X receiver in the Joe Lombardi system. I told you Courtland Sutton would be leading the team in targets this entire season. What's he doing? He's leading the team in targets this season. Joe Lombardi loves funneling targets to the X receiver. And you're going to tell me against the Chicago Bears that the line is set at 56.5 receiving yards? Minus 115 on DK. Yum, yum. Give me some Courtland Sutton.
Love it. I left you the Sutton props here because I was in on them as well, and I just knew that this was the week for you to go with Courtland Sutton for sure. I'm going to take his quarterback, though. I'm going to go Russell Wilson over the 239.5 passing yards. It's minus 115 over on DraftKings. All the reasons you think Sutton goes over, I think Wilson goes over here as well. It's just too good of a matchup to throw on. He's gone over this total in each of the last 2 weeks as well. And their defense, it just isn't good enough. And while I think they'll play better this week, the fact that they do allow teams to score just means that they have to keep scoring themselves, and that means throwing the football.
And that does mean throwing the football. I like that, man. I like that. Over 239.5. I'm in. Smokey the Cat dropping parlays now in the chat over here. Smokey, you're so dangerous, man. You're so dangerous. People love, I get it. Everybody loves their parlays, and you're getting long odds for it, and everybody thinks they know, and it's a tough one there. I mean, all right, so KC -5. Okay, it's against the Jets. Dallas -3 against New England. John, you're wearing that Patriots shirt. Where are you? Dallas -3, yay or nay?
They probably cover, but I wouldn't shock me if that ends up being a push.
Okay. Buffalo -3. It's down at 2.5 right now. I'm fine with the 3. I'm okay with that. Bengals I'm assuming this
Bengals
money line. Bengals money line. Chargers money line. Anytime touchdowns for Bijan, Josh Jacobs, Kelsey, and Jamar Chase. I wish you nothing but the best of luck, my friend. I like a lot of what you got there. I can't say I love everything that you have on there, but
I hope you come back on Monday with a winning slip. That's what I say.
I hope you come back Monday with a winning slip, and I don't know, maybe like a cigar for me. Send me something here. Come on. John, let's go back to the prop list here. Where are we at? Where else? You got Russell Wilson over 239.5 passing yards. Who else you got?
Yeah, I went Josh Palmer is at 44.5 receiving yards over on DraftKings Sportsbook. It's minus 140, but still, that feels pretty easy. He had over 60 yards last week filling in for Mike Williams. He's going to get at least the beginning. He's on the outside. He's going to get the leading role there, filling in for Mike Williams. And then we know that Minnesota likes to throw. So the Chargers rather like to throw. Raiders defense is not very good here, so give me the Palmer 44.5 receiving yards.
I like this even more if Austin Eckler's out of that game too, because that takes another target away from them. Josh Palmer did better filling in for Keenan Allen than he did for Mike Williams last year. Different type of receiver, so maybe Quentin Johnson takes some work, but 44.5 now with no Eckler possibly. I can dig that. I
Yep.
can definitely dig that. I'd play the juice. I'd use that in a parlay. I'd probably look into
or a boost maybe if your sports book is offering you a boosted play, maybe take it there.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I'm gonna go across the pond to the London game. Bijan Robinson over 25.5 receiving yards. Jags have given up. I can't remember the actual number here. I could probably pull it up in a hot second as far as how much the Jags are giving up to running back pass plays. Either way, Bijan Robinson, I just dig what he's doing here for the Atlanta Falcons. An absolute stud. I mean, I like seeing them doing the passing work to him. I like seeing that a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that 25.5 yards for him is not going to be a traumatic thing. Jaguars, here you go. 6.7 pass attempts per game to the running backs against the Jaguars, average of 35 yards. So, all right, if Bijan is average, I'll take it. I'll take the over 25.5. It's minus 125 on DK.
Yeah. I think last week was a tough spot for them. We're learning that running against Detroit is a tough matchup for a lot of teams here. So I think they can bounce back here against Jacksonville for sure. I like that.
Sweet.
My last prop here, I got Christian McCaffrey over 79.5 rushing yards. Again, Deebo Samuel hasn't been practicing. Brandon Ayuk's a little bit banged up as well. Arizona, they're like 18th and 19th, respectively, DVOA against the pass and the run. I think we're going to see a lot of Christian McCaffrey early in this game. And once they get a big enough lead, he could be the one closing it out as well. So 79.5 rushing yards here, minus 115.
79.5 rushing. Yeah, I'm fine with it. I love McCaffrey against Arizona. There's all sorts of what I don't like about Arizona here. So perfectly fine with that. Love it. Last one I'll give, and here you go. We were just talking about it earlier. Cleveland defense is going to be, tough to come by here against for the Baltimore Ravens. So why not can Justin Tucker make 2 field goals in this game, John? Are you telling me that Baltimore's offense can't stall within Justin Tucker's range at least twice in this game? So, I mean, for plus odds also, plus 110 on this one here. I think Justin Tucker, especially in a game that they are assuming is going to be very close, boom. Give me Tucker over 1.5 total field goals made at plus 110.
I play a lot of 1.5 field goal props, and Coop usually makes fun of me for it, but then they come through, so I'm down.
All right.
It's boring rooting for drives to stall out for field goals. I said, yeah, but it happens a lot. So,
dude, he dives into tight ends deeper than anything. Like, what could be more boring than talking about Durham Smythe? I would much rather root for a kicker than to be talking about Durham Smythe.
I agree.
Who's his other one now? Tanner Hudson.
Yeah,
so there you go. If you're a deep dive DFS player, Tanner
he talked about Eli Wolf for like 5 years. So
all right. Well, I'll tell you what here. Beautiful Friday. I've got the SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio show coming up in a little bit, and John's got 1,000,001 things to do.
I got the final MLB DFS show coming up at 5:00. So
the final MLB DFS show coming up at 5:00. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
How was your MLB season, John?
It was good. We had some nice wins on MLB DFS. Obviously, it's a very long season, a lot of slates. I think that we certainly had some moments, some exciting moments going against the grain here. We had one night where we stacked Orioles against Mac Fried, and we had them all at 1%, just smacking them around the field for some nice wins. But it's also nice for it to be over with. I think baseball is like I said, it's a long year. It's a lot of games.
It is a very
every day for
season.
6 months almost. It's a long time.
Oh yeah, it's a grind, isn't it?
It is. And then 3 weeks from now, you'll see James and myself starting the NBA DFS podcast and live stream. So
cover it all here at Fantasy Alarm. If you guys don't subscribe to Fantasy Alarm, I highly suggest that you do this right now. We just released our draft kit for fantasy hockey. We're going to have a draft kit for fantasy basketball as well. I think we're still running this 7-day free trial, which I thought it was going to be turned off last week, but it's apparently not. So fantasyalarm.com/win. Go there, sign up for the monthly. You get everything over at the website, but take it for a 7-day spin right now. Get our best bets. I'm going to have a best bets article over at fantasyalarm.com for this weekend. That's going to go up. All of our NFL DFS stuff, our season-long fantasy. The family is screenshotting win after win after win after win. You come into our Discord, check it all out. Everybody's loving life right now. You could be too. fantasyalarm.com/win and join the family here. John, let's wrap things up here today with our illustrious touchdown calls. I love making touchdown calls. I love it more than anything. I'm going to go with my first one here right now. Oh, and actually, you've got a couple of them, so you go first.
All right, yeah, I got one that I really like, and then we got a couple of dart throws here that can maybe help us make some money here. Jamar Chase plus 125 is the first one, though. Again, this is one of the best picks on the board, in my opinion, going up against a very bad Tennessee Titans pass defense here. So loving Chase at the plus 125. And that couple of dart throws I like, Howard, here. Marvin Mims plus 240 to score, big play guy. We know that defense in Chicago, susceptible to those big plays. He can also do it on special teams as well, so we don't necessarily need him to catch a touchdown. He could return a kick for a touchdown here, a punt for a touchdown. Michael Thomas at plus 240. I like him as well this week in that matchup. Again, some of the tougher coverage goes on Chris Olave. We know that Jameis Winston likes to throw the ball downfield. Thomas is a strong receiver. We saw what A.J. Brown was able to do last week against Tampa Bay. I can see Thomas doing the same, kind of that gritty, over-the-middle, tough type of guy there. And then Cam Akers. Why not? Minnesota has said that Cam Akers is going to be active this week. We know you can run on Carolina. We'll see if they get Akers some red zone work here at plus 380.
I would love, out of all of your props, your touchdown calls here, I would love to see Cam Akers get in at plus 380. I'm just not an Alexander Madison guy. The blocking scheme is a little effed up in Minnesota. They don't have the personnel to do a hybrid blocking scheme. And It just, it's problematic with that. But, Cam Akers, he knows what they're trying to do. He's worked with Wes Phillips and Kevin O'Connell before in Los Angeles. So I kind of want to see that one pop. I like it a lot, man. I really like it a lot. Just a little redemption for Cam Akers, because whatever it is between him and Sean McVay, it's definitely personal. It's not like it's not football related at all. It is definitely a personal thing.
Yeah. So, I like, again, I was surprised he's inactive last week. He's active this week. He knows the offense, knows the coach. They know what he can do. I think Cam Akers' stock is only going to go up from here.
All right. Well, my touchdown calls, here we go. Shout it out to all the Swifties in the world. Yeah. Look at that. Adam Bernard's even got it right there on the lower third. I love seeing that. That's right. Travis Kelce, it's minus 135. Listen, it's the Jets. And as much as I love the Jets corners, the Jets happen to rank 30th in DVOA against the tight end position. There's just no way that on Sunday Night Football, where we might have a Taylor Swift sighting, that Travis Kelce doesn't get into the end zone. Whether Taylor's there or not, Travis Kelce gets into the end zone. I'm going to milk this Taylor Swift stuff for all it's worth.
She's supposedly she's gonna be there, supposedly. So
I think we need to embrace it. I know that there are people who are like, oh, it's crap, there's so much coverage, and so we see it all the time, and we've never, it's never been this bad. I'm like, you know what? It's always gonna be bad because of social media and everybody's like thirst for all of this. So, you might as well just embrace it. This, to me, is good for football. You're taking an entire generation of kids who might not be into football, but now because Taylor Swift is dating Travis Kelce.
My wife told me the trending breakup song name for Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce is Travesty, and I think it's great. I'm excited. I'm excited for Taylor Swift's song called Travesty to come out about her dating relationship with Travis Kelce.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm gonna run that by Shan Blunt, my producer.
Do that.
over at
Do that
Sirius
on
XM.
XM today. I'll tune in. But that's what Rebecca told me was trending on Twitter. Was the breakup? Name that breakup song for Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, and Travesty was the winning popular name.
All right, beautiful. You know who's not embracing it? Let's bring him in here right now. Give me that handsome producer of ours.
Oh my God, I've explained this a million times. It's not that I'm not embracing it. I'm happy. It's not crybaby, Howard. Okay. Oh, because I'm telling you now, you're like, oh, embrace it, blah, blah, blah. Talk to me by Thanksgiving if you're not over it and had enough of it. I promise you will be.
What if I'm not over it by Thanksgiving?
I'm not doing any bets like that. I'm not singing any Taylor Swift. It's just the way pop music is covered is not the way sports is covered. And there's a reason for that. And it's starting to come into that. And I don't need updates on my feed about stupid nonsense. I just saw that NBC is running a commercial that Taylor Swift is going to be at the game on Sunday, not performing at halftime. No, just that she's going to be in attendance. It's overkill. I hope they're happy. I hope they're married. If they want 10 kids, have 10 kids. If they want no kids, no kids. I'm just like, it's enough. Like, it's week 4. Like, what is this going to be like?
This is the biggest money grab. This is such a money grab for the NFL.
Really needs a boost for their profits. That's the league that really needs it. You know, the league that owns a day of the week could really use a shot in the arm.
Dude, if the league can go 365 days a year, 7 days a week, and we can have football, that's what the NFL wants to do. That's what the NFL wants.
NFL would do games 7 days of the week if the Players Association would even consider it. If they really could, they would.
Oh, dude, you're talking about, listen, you increase the number of teams. All right, if you got the USFL and the XFL, if that's going to end up being like a merged minor league situation, all right, then you're going to have enough people. And listen, they keep trying to expand globally, so why not turn into a bigger league over there too?
I'm not faulting anybody for trying to capitalize. This is what you need. This is all part, like, you can predict everything that's going to happen. That doesn't mean that there are people that aren't going to be extremely annoyed by it along the way and don't want it to be that way. I accept that it's going to be that way, but I am going to be annoyed by it, and it's my right to be annoyed by it.
It is your right to be annoyed by it.
Like, I don't like. I'm sorry. It's just like, I don't like, it's going to be, we're going to start having 13-year-old girls like dictate NFL coverage soon.
I don't necessarily know if we're going to get that far.
The Chiefs are always going to be on prime time. So
that's not what I mean. I'm just saying, like, wait, we'll see. If this relationship is not a flash in the pan, if this thing actually lasts, we'll see.
So what happens now when Nickelodeon is doing its coverage of a Chiefs game and Taylor Swift is involved? Is your head going to explode?
No, because I don't care. I don't watch it. Like, here's the thing. I'm a big believer in if you don't like it, don't watch. But now it's getting to a point where you can't check on football news without getting an update on Taylor Swift. You know what I mean? Like, that's my point.
Oh, no. See, I disagree with. I do research for football all day long, every day, and I don't run into a single bit of Taylor Swift coverage. I do that when I go to if I go to the homepage of ESPN or the homepage of Yahoo. Sure, those guys are obviously going to overload it because they do entertainment news on there too. But when I'm sitting there and I'm doing my research for NFL games, do I run into any Taylor Swift stuff? No, I don't.
Wait,
John?
Wait.
I mean, I knew that she was going to be at the Monday game, so I did see that report.
There you
go.
But
Sunday
I did not
game.
see it.
Sunday game, but it's not constantly in my research purview. So,
was she on Monday night this week? That would be a story if she's at the Monday night game too. Like, oh, who's she dating on that team?
Oh. Travis Kelce is now popular as a funny thing going on right now, says Mulroy. Yeah, it's definitely, listen, of course it is. Of course it is. But this is the society in which we live. It's all about sensationalism. It's all about, likes.
There's a fundamental problem with that it's gotten this far.
Of course it is. But you know what? You're going to be dead before it ever changes.
You're right. I just wish we had news standards that at least harken to the days of like the Brokaws, Rathers, and Jennings of the world. Like, it would be nice to go back to those news and journalistic standards. That's all.
You live in a world where 13-year-old people are millionaires because of TikTok videos.
You're right.
Stupid, senseless TikTok videos. That's I mean,
Good for
you want
them.
to just comment on the crap that is society. Sure. I mean, listen, I'm super psyched about, crapping on society for that.
Listen, good for them. I'm not hating. I just, it's like, it's unavoidable that it's going to be invading like your day to day. Like it's coming, and that's what annoys me. It's not. Like I said, the example I provided on, I believe it was Getting Buzzed, or when we were talking about it, is when the Boise State running back in the Fiesta Bowl on the Statue of Liberty play, he scores the game winning on the touchdown on the last play, and then he proposes to his cheerleader girlfriend, and like it was the perfect storybook stuff. But you knew these people are essentially nobodies, and they're going to be out of the news cycle within a week or so. So whether you thought it was cute or annoying, you knew it was going away. Kelsey and Swift ain't going away anytime soon.
No, I will. I promise you, I will let you know by Thanksgiving as to whether or not I am sick of it. You might see some friendship bracelets on me, though.
Listen, you do what you got to do, and more power to you. It's just, so I've said what I had to say.
All right. Well, let me finish out tonight's show here with my final touchdown call, and that was Cortland Sutton plus 130 on DK. Chicago's defense is just terrible, John. Just absolutely terrible. And you know how much I love Cortland Sutton. Yep. So not only does he go over 55.5 receiving yards or 56.5 receiving yards, he also gets into the end zone.
Yep.
Does that work for you?
I like it a lot. A little more update on this game here, not pertaining to Cortland Sutton, but reporters just asked Chase Claypool if he felt like he's being utilized correctly in the offense, and he said no. So, I don't think anything's happened in Chicago this week for this game. I'm telling you that much.
Listen, Luke Getsy is no different than Nathaniel Hackett. Yeah. Luke Getsy was the passing game coordinator and the quarterback's coach for the Green Bay Packers when Aaron Rodgers was there. That's his big resume builder. Come on, man.
I'm just saying, I don't think we're going to see Chicago's offense improving much this week, even against a bad Denver team.
I agree. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us here on the Bettor Sports Betting Show. We thank you all for tuning in. Please hit that like and subscribe button if you're watching us on YouTube. For Jon Impemba, my man Adam Bernard, me, Howard Bender. We'll catch you next time.
Bettor Sports Betting on the Bettor Sports Network.